Hi, and welcome to Trapping Radio. This is your host, Jeff Dunlap, at least the host for this week, so you're stuck with me. I'm in Iowa right now. I came down to funky trap line supplies and trap tags and to pick up some stuff to haul back to Michigan for predator control group stuff. And it's like I'm a truck driver instead of a trapper some days. And absolutely nothing wrong with truck driving. You got to love them, or we wouldn't have shit in the stores. But that I don't like driving that much, so that's why I'm not a truck driver. But we had trailer troubles after we had it fixed, and it's been a whole freaking nightmare. Which might even going back into it. But this week we're going to talk about trap prep, and I've been getting a lot of questions on trap prep and seeing comments on it, and and this is just how I do it or my thoughts on it. A lot of this stuff, there's more than one way to do something. Like you hear the expression, there's more than one way to skin a cat. I'm not sure how many ways there are to skin a cat, because I only know one, or I guess two: feed on, feed off. But but you get the idea that there's multiple ways to do it. I'm just going to talk about mine and a few that I know that buddies use and stuff, and ways I tried to do it and didn't work out. So, but start with I'll mention our sponsors. They help pay for all the costs on a lot of this stuff, and we really appreciate them. And we only take on sponsors that we feel comfortable that are going to be honest people. We know them very well, or we don't put them on as a sponsor. That when you order something, you're going to get that product from them, or if it's lost in the mail, they're going to help you get it the best that they can. Even though when it goes out that door, it's not their responsibility anymore. It's the shipping service, but they always step up and help. So that's what we're looking for, those kind of sponsors. Just good people. We also our first sponsor is F&T Freedom Outdoors. It'd be interesting to do a poll on Facebook sometimes to see what people thought F&T stands for. Not many people probably know what that is. They think probably. I'll give you a hint. Maybe I'll announce it next week what it is. But or I'll do a poll on Facebook. But it doesn't have anything to do with fur or trapping. So it's more of a patriotic thing. So that'd give you something to think about. But so we got F&T Freedom Outdoors. And they have an awesome shop up there. And when you're if you're going to go up to the Nationals and you're coming up through Michigan, if you go, you'll see a town called Standish or Grayling. Either one, you get off there, you're like, an hour and a half up to them. And then you're only, really half an hour out of your way, 45 minutes. And, they got an awesome shop. I'm probably going to shoot a video before Nationals to, show. I've done a live in there before, but I'll shoot another one. It's just a really remarkable store. But, if you want to give them a call, they have everything you need for trapping, hound hunting, predator calling. They just got everything in there. And they got a whole fur room set up with a bunch of fur blankets on these, I don't know, they're not wagon wheels, but something looks like a wagon wheel thing they're draped over. They're really cool. They got a window there where you can watch when the women are working, sewing and stuff. You can watch through that window, them doing it. So it's a really, really cool setup. There's nothing like it. And one thing that I was surprised by them setting up is how much fur that they sell out of there. I'll sit and I'll watch them people. I'll be sitting there talking to them. I'll be watching them people come in, the local people, and the women will come in there and they go to the fur room and they buy fur, and they buy fur, whole furs, different stuff made into furs, like stuff for the bracelet furs, they like the furs. I think that most people, a lot of people, if they have access to it, will buy the fur stuff. It's nice and soft. People like that. It's beautiful. It's a renewable resource, and people realize that. So, I mean, you're always going to have the anti-nuts people that ain't going to buy it. But the general people, if they have access to that, they a lot of them will buy it. I was really surprised by that, because the reason everybody always says, well, we need an American market. The reason there's no American market is there's no access for the general public to get it. Where would the general public, go, in there and get it at a reasonable cost? Most time, if there's some sort of a fur shop, it's $1 million. You go in there and buy something, they want a zillion dollars, like up to Anchorage, on Main Street there. You go in there and everything's like crazy priced. So it's cool that they have that, and if you get up that way, check it out. Watch for the videos. See what you'll be driving half an hour out of your way for, and you'll be really happy. We also have funky trap line, trap tags and supplies. He's out of Guthrie Center, Iowa. He has a shop set up too, where you can go in and buy stuff. During the week, little Alan's there and takes care of it. And both really good guys and honest. And I was over to. I want to tell you a story. Alan is the type of guy where you go, and this is the type of people I like dealing with, which are very hard to find. But Alan, I'm over to Clint's, and I call him up and tell him about, I got 2 trailer loads of stuff. I'm getting from Clint to haul back, and he says, yeah, I can run over there. I'm like, you're like 14 hours away. If you need my help, I'll come help you. He got in his truck and drove all the way over to Knoxville, Tennessee, to haul a load for me of stuff that had nothing to do with him, just because he's a friend. Is the type of guy that Alan Sayers is. And it's like I come down here, had trailer problems coming to his place. My tire, one thing is the shackle broke. Alan fixed it for me, and then I had hit a cone alongside the road, one of them safety cones in the construction area, and it ripped my fender off. Shit, Alan put it right back on. It looked better than new. So I mean, it's just, he could fix anything. In most time, he fixes it better than what it was when he originally had it. But that's the type of guy you're dealing with when you call down the Funkies and and deal with Alan. And little Alan is the same way. So it's important. I mean, these people are trappers, real trappers, and they're good men. So I mean, that's who I like to deal with. Sometimes you got to deal with shitheads. That's just the way it is. But when I don't have to, I definitely don't. So, those are two of the sponsors that, I personally deal with a lot. And we're also looking for more sponsors. So if you have a business in the trapping industry, predator calling, coon hunting, whatever, and you want to be a sponsor, you'll get a hold of me, and we'll see. We just want good people that are going to take care of trappers and treat them right to be sponsors on here. And, we'll have, and if you don't, you just won't be a sponsor on here very long, because we won't put up with it. So that being said, we'll go into, kind of what we're going to talk about this week. Well, first I'm going to start off. Sarah said I should do like the rant of a madman. I said it's not the rant of a madman. It's the ravings of a madman. And she said ravings that's about a good thing, which I'm not sure how she came up with that. And she's smarter than I am, so I don't ask. But in my opinion, ravings doesn't have to be necessarily a bad thing. And, it can be like... good thing or bad thing. So getting a sip of my coffee here. I so I just I'm trying to do this as delicately as possible because I'm basically trying to what I'm trying to going to tell you not to do. I'm trying not to do myself. So nothing is meant to be anything other than positive. It's like with the NTA election that's going on now, it's been pretty divisive back and forth, and some of the people are on one side, some are on the other. Whoever you vote for, you vote for. You've already made up your mind. There's nothing I'm going to say or anybody else going to say probably that is going to change your mind. It's going to be what it's going to be. But the thing is what's too bad is that we got to be at each other's throat and become, almost like people are enemies over this. I could see like the main people running the shit said about them, and they hate that, and I could see them, but the rest of us. I mean, when it's all said and done in another 2 weeks or whatever it is, I mean, we still got anti-trappers out there. I'm, every day attacked by them, and I'm reminded that they're out there, that they don't want to see anything. I put up a video of a bear killing a deer. No human involved other than talking, but it wasn't like a human shot anything, killed anything, had anything to do with any of this. And them antis attacked that video so much that Facebook took it down, and then got me, I don't know, not banned on Facebook and on that account, but damn near. So the thing is it doesn't matter to the antis that we are trapping or not trapping. They don't want it going on. They don't want it going on. They don't want to see stuff. They don't want the bear killing the deer. And if it does, they don't want to see it. They are emotional beings, ruled by emotions. And yeah, I mean, who wants the deer killed by the bear? And, that ain't my thing to have something chewed to death. But it is what happens out in nature. It isn't where you go and have the butcher do your kill, or the slaughterhouse do your killing, and then they take it to the butcher shop and you get your piece of meat that was as they think never alive. You're just having your killing done for you. Where we'll either kill or we'll kill our own stuff. I mean, they don't let you do it at McDonald's, which I think is too bad. I mean, who wouldn't want to go in there and kill a bunch of kangaroos? So anyways, they don't want you to do it. They don't want us trapping. They're 100% against it. You're never going to bring them around to what we think. I mean, can they bring you around to what they think? No. You can't do it the other way either. There's people in the middle you can sway, but so the point being, we can't all end up divided no matter who wins the election. We have to stick together. And do I think that some of the associations, the state associations getting involved in all this, are making the situation worse? I absolutely do. Because you're trying to grow your association. I know that they think that their job is to put on these meetings and do this and that. They don't have to go to these meetings like up to the UP. They have Skype. $billion companies are running their thing on Skype. Their job is not to, I don't donate money to them or pay them or product to put on the national convention or a state convention or anything else. I pay separate money for that, for tables and stuff like that. But when I'm donating it, what I'm giving them that money for, and their only job is to protect trapping in the state of Michigan or whatever state they're in, or on a national level, or come into the assistance for the state levels. That's it. That's really their only job. Not all this side crap. And my thing is like one association gave $4,000 to one of the candidates. Another one gave him 1,000. And you notice I'm not mentioning the names. I don't care who they gave it to, which side, or if they did it again next year. I don't think you should be donating $4,000 to some candidate that people donated. My question is, if you felt that led to give $4,000 to one of the candidates, how much did you give of your own damn money? Did you donate? Did you match that? Donate $4,000? I mean, if it's that important that you're protecting trapping, like you say, I mean, why don't you donate? Why don't you donate $4,000 of your own money? Not the associations. So, the thing is, I just don't agree with it. I don't agree with giving that money out to anybody but an attorney or somebody where we're fighting for the rights of trapping. That's the only way. Because I feel that either man that wins, do I have differences with both of them? Yeah. You know why? Because I'm human and they're human, and they have thoughts and I have thoughts, and we all have thoughts, and everybody is not going to match up 100%. It's just the way it is. Nobody gets along all the time. So, do I think that either one of them men that are elected will do everything in their power to protect trapping to the best of their ability? I absolutely do. So, on that, which is the only job they really have to do, I don't see we're taking $4,000 out of the kitty and giving it to the person to send out letters, how that's benefiting trapping. I just don't see it. Giving it to the post office. I don't see it. And it doesn't matter if you gave it to the other guy or gave it to 10 other people. I don't care. It's the point of the matter. So the only thing is, we cannot become enemies over this. I've made up my mind. A lot of the people that did that, I really respect them, and I really do like them. I think they're good people. I just don't agree with them. But I made up my mind I'm not being enemies over this. And, because when it's all said and done, we need each other. There's not, like the NRA has millions of members. We don't have that. In any association, all added together. So, it's important that we stick together. And when this is all said and done, come together like the country has never been able to do with any president that we've elected in the last how many years. It's always divisive, back and forth, back and forth. It's been like that since John got elected. The other side isn't happy he's in there. It's been divisive. John pissed off the wrong woman, and he's been dealing with it ever since. So this has to stop, or the trappers we have to step up and take and get into these positions. If these guys can't handle it, we'll just have to run for the elections, and we'll the regular trappers out there will just have to start taking over the positions and stepping up and doing them, including myself. So if they can't get past it, because we've allowed this stuff to go on in Washington, D.C. and at the state levels, and and look at its turmoil there. If we all could get on the same page, and we all aren't going to get along all the time, we're going to have fights. But if we could all get where we're headed, at least in the same direction, fight each other a little bit on the sides, but keep heading in the same direction, there's nothing we really can't do. I mean, we're powerful all together. But like this, we're not powerful. Is it any one person's fault? No. So, I know everybody's not always going to get along. There's money involved. There's what people think they have power when they're in these groups, but I don't see what power you have. But they think it's like power or recognition or something, and but it isn't. If everybody in the world knows who you are, or every trapper in the world knows who you are, nobody knows who you are. We're a small group. We're just all the same. And we need each other. So let's just, all quit this and try and, get not be in some big battle about all this stuff. And for the people that are running for president, yeah, I would feel the same way. I would hate the person that said that shit about me and a lot of the other people. I would, but. But nobody said anything about me. Nobody said anything about you. There's no reason why we can't support who we're going to support, vote for them, and then be friends afterwards. We don't have to be enemies because we don't have enough trappers to have enemies with each other. So, anyways, that was my kumbaya moment. Normally, I'm all fire and brimstone on let's destroy the other side, but there is no other side to destroy because they're want the same thing we want. So. We can't have no sides. So, anyways, on the trap prep, and one other thing is, join your local association. If you're not involved, you can complain. They don't really care when you complain as a member, but at least you say I'm a member complaining. I've complained as a member and a non-member, and it usually ends up about the same. But you know what? I'm a member. I threw my number in there with everybody else's, and we that's all we can do. That's all you can do is join, be a member, donate if you can, donate time, money, whatever, and there's really nothing else you can do. So. I guess that's about as far as I'm going to go on that. End up getting myself shish kebab by Sarah. So, one thing a lot of times I take into consideration, I didn't used to do this, but if I'm going to piss a match with somebody, how it affects her, and what she has to deal with, behind the scenes and stuff, and so. On this deal, I apparently didn't take that advice, but I don't think I said anything that bad that she's going to kill me over. But oh well, I'm in trouble every day. So, as far as the trap prep and stuff, I guess it's going to depend on what trap I'm using and what am I going to be using it for. Let's say I'm going to be using a dog-proof trap. The main thing that I always do with the trap prep is I'll go and let's start right in the beginning where we take let's say like a Freedom brand or a Duke dog-proof trap. We take it out of the box. I have went and set them out just like that in Cocoon. I also have went, and I like this better because when you're taking them out of the box, setting them out on the line, you still got that greasy shit all over you. So, I personally don't like that. So what I do is I'll take them traps out of the box. I'll put them in a 5-gallon bucket. And I got videos of this, videos of doing this on YouTube somewheres. But I'll take a 5-gallon bucket. I'll take the DPs or whatever trap, put them in the bucket. I'll take 1 gallon of the white cleaning vinegar. They got 5%. That'll work fine. I usually try and find the 6% because it's about the same price. It's got a little bit more higher acidity in it. I dump it in there. Then when I put the whole gallon in, fill the bucket up with water, just hose water or whatever, and I'll let it sit. Usually you come out there the next day and you'll see it bubbling. You'll know it's working. But you want that water all the way covering the traps. Some bigger traps you'd have to use 2 buckets. But so what you got is the next day you come out. You'll see a grease ring around the top of that bucket right at the water line, and you'll know that that grease is off there. And you can at that point you can take baking soda if you want to neutralize the acid on it. You can take baking soda, dump it in there, and then rinse them off, and it neutralizes that acid. I generally don't do that. I'll just get it out, and I'll I'll go and spray down with the hose, and then I'll just kind of set them out there because I want to get a little coating of rust on them most of the time. And if it's getting rain, I'll just leave them out there and let it rain on them. And when it starts drying, they really start rusting. If it's going to be real dry, I'll take that hose and hit them throughout the day a few times, just kind of splash the water over them. And that gets that rusting action going, and it'll start rusting. And so when I go from that, then it's going to depend on, all right, so you got any kind of trap, that's what I do. Whether it's a coyote trap, a beaver trap, a dog-proof trap, whatever. And in this case, was using dog-proof traps. So that's the process I use. I mean, we have used in the past Drano when it was in the metal can. We used the acid. Add acid to water. Do what you oughta. So I've used different things. This is the safest, where I don't feel like I'm going to be burning all my clothes up or blowing myself up. So, or blinding myself. So, it works great and just safer. But so after that process, you took them out. You got a little bit of coating of rust. You're going to want more rust if you're going to be, trying to dye them and wax them. So I leave them a little bit longer if you're going to dye and wax. If we're using the dog-proof traps, what I'm going to do is, because the first coon you catch, whatever you have on there, either all or most of it's coming off. All right? So if you spend 3 hours decorating this trap, the first catch, it's already, massacred. Whatever you put on there, paint-wise, whatever. So, what I usually do to protect the trap, keep it firing a little bit faster, is, dip it in Full Metal Jacket and, hang them up. It's real quick. There's different kinds of dips you can use. That one's, easy for me to use, and so that's what I use on them, and, just to stop them from rusting. And then I go and hang them up, and then let them dry, and they're ready to go out and set. And that Full Metal Jacket seems to stay on them a little bit better than what spray painting them does. I painted them and then used Full Metal Jacket. It doesn't seem to matter. The coon don't care. And basically when you're waxing your trap or any of that, what you're doing is you're protecting your investment. That's what you're doing. You're keeping it from rusting away into either nothing or just junk. So that's and it'll keep your trap firing faster. If it's clean. If you take a rusty trap and set it, a real rusty one, and then fire it, and then you do the same thing with well taken care of trap, you will see a difference in the reaction of that trap. The firing and everything else. So that's why I do it. I think a lot of times people think it's for scent control and this and that, but in the end that's why you're doing it. The dyeing, you're doing that for to give that coating on that trap, also to protect your investment, and that it takes a lot of that the junk off of it and coats it, and and also for the coloring, but if you're land trapping, the coloring means nothing. It doesn't matter if you have fluorescent orange traps or blue traps or whatever, or purple traps or pink traps. It doesn't matter, they're underground. So for DPs, that's all I do. For coyote trapping, I have done it many different ways. I still like to use logwood dye, and wax. You take the logwood dye, put it in there, get it boiling, You got your rusted traps where, like these new ones we're talking about, a lot of times it's not even worth putting them in doing the dye because they won't take on that first dip. What you've got to do is a lot of times the first year, like if you get new traps and you're going to dye and wax, you don't even worry about dyeing them. You just put them in the wax and wax them, and that'll be good enough. You're protecting an investment, keeping it off of them. And one thing with the waxing that went back to, was in the old days when they used a lot of salt on the traps. In the wintertime, they would salt them because of that salt eats up them traps. So if you salted your traps, they weren't like all rusted together in the springtime. But as far as like I said, I still like using the wax and the dye. So covering that, part of it on the waxing and stuff like that. Also, there's different methods you can use. It's like, for your land traps or water traps is, and there's different things you can do for both, and some are effective, some aren't. It's like Full Metal Jacket, I'm not going to use on my water traps because it'll bubble up, turn white. So, I'm just using that on my land traps. But, it's like speed dip. I used speed dip quite a bit years ago. I don't use it anymore because the gas doesn't seem to cut it the way that it used to. I know you can get, different types of higher octane gas. I've had too many bad experiences with it. So I don't use speed dip anymore. There's always like a smell to it I can't get off. So I mostly used it for water trapping. And it was when I could get it to cut right, they were really good for the traps. I've went and used for land traps and water traps. Used oil-based paints. They have different colors. I've got John Deere green. I've got brown, and whatever happened to trip my trigger at the time. And I just you cut it with paint thinner. I've cut it 50-50 before. I've cut it 2 gallons of paint to 1 gallon of paint thinner, so half gallon of paint thinner to a gallon, which is a little thick. Because you want to make sure if you're doing any of that dipping, you got it right, because it'll gum up your pans and all that stuff, and you don't want it to gum up. Because I did a bunch of muskrat traps, 1.5 Duke and Victor one time, and that was a real pain in the ass. Where that paint set up over the summer. I did them in the spring, and it set up, and then I couldn't move the the frickin' pans. So I still got some of them that are like that, and that's a long time ago I did them. Some of them I busted loose, and thinking back on that, what an idiot. So you want to test a couple traps when you get started doing this to to make sure that you're not going to have the same problem, because it's a pain in the ass. Especially I had lots of traps. If you only had a dozen traps, and you put yourself right out of commission for a little bit, anyways. That's the other thing is if you've been using something, anything in the trapping, I wouldn't switch over to anything. Somebody told me start using, let's say logwood dye, and I had been using something else with success, but I thought it'd be a little bit easier. I wouldn't switch everything over. I would do a couple traps like that and then try it and see how I liked it. Because you're making a full commitment on something you don't even know nothing about. By doing all your traps. I mean, even buying new traps, I never go out and sell all my ones and buy, new alphas, because of the fact, that I like the looks of them or whatever. I'll buy a dozen or 2 dozen and try them on my line, but I'm not gonna switch all the way over until I've tried them. I want to see that there's not going to be any problems, any more than normal. There's always going to be problems. So that being said, I don't use the speed dip too much anymore. You got quite a few different products. I like the Snare one from New Sterling, because you can dip the stuff today, hang it up, let it dry. Initially it needs multiple coats. Quick, if I did it now, I'd wait half an hour, it'd be dry, dip it again, and then get it. I can't remember. I think it's the brown that has like a green tint to it, and I really like that look on the traps. Does it make a difference, on most of the traps? No. But I like it. It looks cool in the back of the truck. Nobody else is seeing it except for me, Sarah, Jeff Haggerty, or Nick Ernie, or somebody like that. So, it's only me that thinks it's cool. But, I do like that Snare one. It's gotten really pricey, but sometimes if you want something good, you got to pay for it. They got the Dakota Line dip, and other ones like that. And, I've used Dakota Line dip, like if I was lazy and didn't get the shit done in the spring, and then we started rusting throughout the summer, and I just want to do something quick, I would do that. And, because I've used it before and it scratches off real easily, it is a very good quick fix, but it's not going to take the abuse like Snare 1, in my opinion. Other people might have different opinion. That's just mine. That's been my experience, that it scratches off real easily. But that being said, where something touches it, it'll scratch off. It isn't necessarily where all of it's gone. Most of your trap is still protected. So it's doing what it was designed to do. It's chips off more than I like. But, either one of them, is real good, for water trapping, and it's a quick thing. I use spray paint. I've put the traps down the ground and have one over the top of it. I'm spraying so that all the residue hits down below it. Then just hang them up, and they cure out real, pretty quick. Water trapping, as soon as they're dry, you can go set them water trapping. Land trapping, I've done it and caught stuff within 3 days, but that was not usually what I do. I want to do it in the spring, give it months to cure out, I would feel most comfortable at 2 or 3 weeks of letting it cure out, rather than, like I say, I have done it in 3 days. When I was in Louisiana, they stole all my traps. I had to order new ones for Texas on a paid job. I had no choice. I had to do something, and and it worked. Will it work every time? Probably not, but it did that time. Good enough that the landowner was happy, so that was all that mattered. So there's multiple, different ways of, taking care of your traps. I mean, there's, if you're just starting out trapping, it's hard to tell you what you would want to, exactly do, that this is set in stone, because there's nothing set in stone, There's guys that use speed dip and love it. There's guys and girls that use Dakota Line stuff, and they love it. Some will only say, well, I'm just going to use logwood dye and wax, and they love it, So, they all work. It's just, what do you have the confidence in that is the best product for you? Sometimes you just got to spend money. If you can't figure it out ahead of time, spend money to try the next thing. Do them all one way this year, and if you don't like it, try a different way. Gather more information. But it's like using the snare one. You just mix equal. It's simple. You just mix, and I think Dakota Line's the same way, where you take the lid off of the gallon, dump it in the thing, in a pay. I put it in a 5-gallon bucket, and then you put a gallon of water right on top, and then mix the shit out of it. So, I mean, it's pretty user friendly, and easy to use. But then what I don't do, especially like with let's say Full Metal Jacket, because there's a chemical smell when you pull them out on a lot of these. So what you want to do is all these different ways with Full Metal Jacket or any of them is hang them up, let them air out, and especially if you're painting them, and just let them air out outside. Don't, if you throw like Full Metal Jacket traps in a box and then put the lid down, when you open that, it's still going to have that chemical smell months later. It has to be where you let it air out. The other thing is if you just dye your traps, if you go out and just say, well, you know what, I'm just going to dye my traps. They look great, but that rust will start. As water hits them, that rust will start, coming through, and pretty soon they'll be back, where it looks real good dyed in one spot, and then it'll be rusty in 27 other spots. With the wax, you don't have that problem. So that's, the different things that I have used and do. What you want, and hopefully it helps somebody out there that's just getting into trapping. If you're just getting into it, you don't want to wax your any of the conibears. It doesn't matter what brand, you don't want to wax them. I heard about one guy up to Maine that he waxes all his. I think it was Maine. No, it wasn't. It was North Carolina. And there ain't no way in hell I'm waxing mine. No way in hell. I don't wax my dog proof or my dogless traps or my conibears, either one. And me and my brother one time we had about, I don't know, we could use 220s on state line of Michigan, and we had about 200 220s stacked up, mostly Dukes, and the wind was blowing that way, and we're doing traps and land traps, and we were doing we had dyed them, and then we were going to start waxing them, and the wax bubbled over, and does like it does, it shoots up in the air. Anyways, the wind caught that, unbeknownst to us at that time, and shot all that mist right over. They were quite a ways away. My dad had told us to move them, but we didn't. And he didn't tell us why. He just said, you guys should move them. Well, he seen the wind blowing that way. I knew we were, a couple of idiots going to be bubbling up them, that wax, and it was going to blow over there on them 220s. It was years, it seemed like. Finally, we ended up selling them. I couldn't get it off. I tried to burn it off. I tried everything to get it off. Wax be gone from Blackies. You name it, I've tried it to get it off them traps. And I'd have a conibear set out in the federal land, and I would walk back, be just about back to the truck, and I'd hear bang. That damn thing would go off. Your choice is walk back over there and set it, or walk back over there and set it tomorrow, and you ain't got nothing. So, you're committed to walk back over there. Towards the end of the season when you're tired, you probably just sleep it till the next day. I mean, that's, like if that's a 10th time that's happened to you, and things are getting lazy towards the end. But if you're just starting out, or if you're an experienced trapper, watch that wind. If you're going to wax and dye your traps, when you're doing that wax, make sure that wind isn't blowing towards your pile of conibears, because you might be sorry for a long time. And I know I was. My brother was too. But I everything you learn trapping is either learned by having to pay or by blood. those are generally the two ways that you pay trapping. But you remember them things, and some things you choose to help other people with. And I'm hoping some of my bad mistakes and stuff will help some of you not do the same thing that I've done. Well, I guess we're going to close there. If anything I can do to help you, just shoot me a message, and I'll help you the best I can. I definitely don't have all the answers to everything. If I don't know, I just say I don't know, and I'll try and get you hooked up with somebody that does know. So I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I'll see you next week.